Hi there! Welcome to my studio and to this new series of drawings that I'm going to be creating and sharing with you here on YouTube. My name is Emma, I'm a professional pencil artist, founder of the Learn Realism Drawing School, and these are some of my drawings. I love exploring various ideas and telling stories through my art, and so I'm really excited to be taking you along for the journey as I create my next series of drawings. My hope is to create 7 portraits for this series, each portrait exploring a different character, and I'll tell you more about who the characters are in upcoming videos, but let's just say you've already met all of them, and I'm going to use this series to give them a name. I'm going to document the process in full. I'll share my progress with you here, along with my ideas, my thoughts and lessons I learn along the way, and I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities for me to share some drawing tips, as I know it's very possible that you, yes, you, might like to draw or create art yourself. With that in mind, a question I've been asked many times is, how do you know what to draw? Or how do you come up with drawing ideas? Which is a challenge that most artists face. And I thought today I'd share how I approach drawing ideation. But before that, let me quickly get you up to speed on what I've actually been working on this week. So, I've been brainstorming and sketching for this new series for well over a month. And then this week, I did a photo shoot for the first drawing in the series. I actually had the idea really clearly in my head, and because I've decided to use myself as the mannequin for this series, the photo shoot was actually really quick. I don't love drawing my own face, but sometimes it becomes poignant or necessary. So anyway, that's for another time. So the photo shoot actually went really well. Sometimes they are totally disastrous, which is the way it goes when you're making art. In fact, it's an important stage when creating an artwork and coming up with ideas. Making mistakes, having bad ideas, creating bad sketches, taking bad photos, etc. It's an important part of the process. On this occasion, it just so happened to be easy. And then, the very next day, I started drawing. I haven't actually done this many times before. Often I'll sit with a reference image for weeks or months or sometimes even years, but because I'm happy with how the photo shoot went, I dove straight in. So, let's get into how to come up with ideas. There's 2 sides to this question. There's coming up with quick ideas for something to draw or sketch, and then there's coming up with ideas for an artwork that you're going to spend a bit more time on. Let's tackle quick ideas first, because this doesn't have to be complicated. Honestly, when I sit down to do some sketching, if I'm stuck for what to draw, I ask myself the question, what do I like? Don't overcomplicate it. For example, I like cats, so I draw cats a lot. I also find it really helpful to scroll through my camera roll on my phone because I tend to photograph things that I think are cool, and so I often enjoy drawing those things too. And if that's not working for me, I literally just draw what's in front of me. Sometimes it's not the most groundbreaking thing I've ever drawn, but that doesn't really matter. The most important thing is to just get started. Ultimately, the goal is to do some drawing and enjoy the process, so don't stress too much about what you draw. Once you're drawing, more ideas will flow. If you have time, you can also go to an interesting place. For example, I went to a gallery to draw these sculptures, and this can be a great way to get inspired to draw something a little different. In contrast to coming up with quick sketch ideas, conceiving an idea for an artwork is a totally different process. Firstly, I think it's critical that whatever you draw or paint or sculpt or craft, it has to be something you care about. You really do have to care, else your spirit won't really come through in the art. You won't care about nuance, meaning, depth, symbolism if you don't really care. And if I'm stuck, I just think, what have I been talking about lately with friends and family? What have we been debating or sharing ideas on? What have I wanted to read about? Where have I wanted to go and be? What have I been surrounding myself with? I'm often heavily influenced by the natural world in my work, and this is because I love to spend time outside, I love to explore new areas, I love to grow plants, etc. So it's easy for me to create art about these things. Interestingly, this new series I'm starting is going to be about something quite different. So, it's easiest to create art that's about something you deeply care about or you're passionate about. Once I've tapped into that, the next thing I do is decide on what I want to say about this topic. Are there any really critical points I want to try and make? Not every drawing or piece of art is necessarily as literal or direct as another. Sometimes the concept might be more heavy and rich, and sometimes it might be more peripheral, and this is fine. So I list my thoughts out, and then I start to think about the atmosphere I want to create. How do I want the drawing, or in this case for me, the body of work, to feel? What emotions do I want to evoke? What thoughts do I want to prompt? And then I start to hone in on each core idea. And with this groundwork, the idea, the atmosphere that I want to create, maybe some extra pillars that I want to include too, I can then start to think about what the piece of art might look like. So basically it starts fuzzy and vague with loose ideas about what I want to say, and then I can start to really hone in. And this is where I start doing sketches. I try not to overthink it at this point. I just aim to get as many ideas as I can down onto paper. I don't worry whether they are good or bad. No sketch is invalid. For some context, these are my initial ideas for a previous series of drawings I did. And as you can see, the initial sketches are very basic. Once I have some sketches, there will usually be one that speaks to me the most. And so I go with it. And this is where the creation of the final artwork begins. For me, as a hyperrealist, the next step is a photo shoot, which you saw me doing earlier in the video. There's a lot that goes into this step: composition choices, lighting, costume, props, models, editing. This step is really creative and formative for the final character of the piece. Once I've got some references I like, I'm ready to start drawing. And that's essentially what gets us to what you're seeing now, pencil on paper. And this is where I got up to this week. There's a long way to go yet, but I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll share an update with you next week, so stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm really looking forward to sharing this drawing with you as it unfolds, telling you more about what I'm drawing and why, and sharing more of my process with you. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to talk about or any questions you have, and I might make a video about it in the future. If you'd like more from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you next week.